The fans make their way into Fenway Park from Yawkey Way. It's a beautiful day in Boston, and it's Game 3 of a 3-game series between the Oakland A's and the Boston Red Sox. Welcome inside the broadcast booth, everybody. I'm Don Orsillo along with Jerry Remy. Welcome to Red Sox baseball. Well, today we'll see Clay Buchholz on the mound for the Red Sox, and really he has been outstanding the last few times through. He really has. You know, the Red Sox have had very good starting pitching in this series, and they hope Buchholz today can continue that. And if the last 5 games are any indication, he should. He has been absolutely brilliant in his last 5 starts. The record only 2-2, so the record should be much better. Look at the ERA of 1.95, only 25 hits allowed in 37 innings. Opponents hitting 194 off Buchholz. Now, we mentioned last time that he pitched that June is usually his best month. I believe his record's 12-1 in June, and he's got a great start already this month. Hopefully that continues today, because Buchholz right now has all his pitches going and is pitching terrific baseball. Well, the Red Sox playing good baseball and trying to gain a sweep of this Oakland A's team. It'll be the first sweep of the year. They're going to need the middle of the lineup to continue doing what they have been doing. Hanley Ramirez, David Ortiz, and Mike Napoli have been outstanding. They'll try to get the sweep done today. We're back with the first pitch right after this. It's a new Audi A3 today. Dunkin' Donuts, America runs on Dunkin'. Toyota's website for deals via Toyota.com. Sullivan Tire and Auto Service, thank you New England for 60 great years. And by Southwest Airlines, book your low fare now at Southwest.com. Well, we welcome you back to Fenway Park. Our aerial coverage is provided by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you've got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. Now, the Red Sox have taken the field here today for this finale of the series. So let's check out the visiting Oakland A's starting lineup on this Junior Announcer Day.
Thanks, Mr. Orsillo. Hi, I'm Ben from Needham. Leading off for the Athletics in center field, Billy Burns. The shortstop, Marcus Semien. The first baseman, Stephen Vogt. The DH, Billy Butler. In right field, Josh Reddick. The third baseman, Brett Lawrie. In left field, Mark Hanna. The catcher, Josh Fegley. And batting ninth, the second baseman, Eric Sogard.
Nice job, Ben, as we take a look at the starting pitcher today for the Red Sox, brought to you by your local New England Audi dealers. Clay Buchholz makes his 12th start of the year, 3-6 with a 3.82 earned run average, 70 strikeouts to 18 walks, and opponents hitting at 249 against Buchholz. Did get the victory last time out and should have, as he went 8 shutout innings against the Minnesota Twins, striking out 8 along the way. Now, lots of sunshine here today at Fenway Park. And on the grass at third base in his return to the Red Sox lineup is Pablo Sandoval. As Buchholz ready to work here with Billy Burns standing in on the left side, and The first pitch of the ball game is going to miss inside for ball one. Billy Burns hitting at .318 with 2 homers and 8 runs batted in. In there for a strike, and it's even at 1-1.
And Billy Burns right now on a 11-game hitting streak for the Oakland Athletics. And of course the Red Sox shade him to the opposite field and play him shallow.
It's at a .362 during the 11-game hitting streak. Sends it foul off to the left and is down 1-2. There are the numbers for the streak. He's mixed in 2 triples, couple doubles, a home run. Ranks first among American League rookies in hits with 42, multi-hit games with 13. On the ground softly towards Sandoval. His first chance of the day, and there's out number 1 of the ball game.
The Red Sox defense is brought to you by Southwest Airlines, and they are 9th in the league with 35 errors on the season. Pablo Sandoval at third base, Xander Bogaerts the shortstop, Dustin Pedroia at second, Mike Napoli the first baseman. A little different in the outfield today. Hanley Ramirez in left field, Rusney Castillo in center field, and Brock Holt the right fielder, and Sandy Leon doing the catching.
1 down for Marcus Semien, the shortstop for the A's. A swing and a miss, chasing the fastball that was up at 93 miles an hour. Semien at .279, 6 homers and 16 runs batted in. He's been struggling at the plate over the last 15 games, hitting at .185. Out ahead of this and fouling it off to the top deck. Well, a beautiful day here today at Fenway Park. Lots of sunshine, and here are the particulars. 61 degrees. Breeze in from right at 7 miles per hour, and forecast calls for partly cloudy. Right now, not a cloud in the sky, and lots of blue sky here at Fenway. Red Sox wrapping up the homestand today. Ball and 2 strikes to Semien. Stephen Vogt waiting on deck with 1 down here in the top half of the first inning. Buchholz has gone 6+ innings in 8 of his last 9 starts. Ran 1 record in 5 career starts against the Athletics. This is to left. Ramirez on the move, and Hanley will make the running catch. Nice running grab by Hanley Ramirez into the doorway down there. 2 down here in the first inning.
A very good jump by Ramirez to see how far he is playing over toward the scoreboard area and how far he has to go. That ball's hooking away from him, and he's still able to make the catch going away. Nice play by Ramirez in left field.
So 2 down here in the first inning. It brings up Stephen Vogt. .299, just a tick under 300. 11 homers and 39 runs batted in. 1 for his last 15 on this road trip for the Oakland A's that started in Detroit.
First time that he has faced Clay Buchholz in his career.
Badly fooled on the pitch, and it's 0-2.
A very good changeup that time by Buchholz to quickly get ahead. Changeup to the outside part of the plate, so fastball followed by the off-speed pitch.
That one zipped underneath his arms as he gets back out of the way of that fastball.
Good pitch by Buchholz. You go away on the first 2 pitches, then with the 2 strikes you go up and in, and now he's opened up a lot of the plate for himself.
Fouled back, and Vogt hangs tough here. 1-2. And the umpiring crew, Bob Davidson has a play today calling the balls and strikes. David Rackley at first base. Clint Fagan at second base, and the crew chief Hunter Wintelstead. He is the umpire at third. 2 outs in the top of the first inning. Stephen Vogt Down on the count, 1-2. That'll bounce in and even it at 2-2. First Fenway game. And a great day for it here at Fenway today. Surrounded the plate, but didn't get the call.
They tried that cut fastball away and just missed the outside corner. Good pitch by Buchholz. Something very tempting for the hitter, but Vogt's able to lay off it.
Now grounder to first base. It's picked by Napoli. He'll take it to the bag himself for the out that ends the top of the first. A's are down in order. Red Sox are coming up. Red Sox coming up in the bottom of the first inning, and their starting lineup brought to you on this Junior Announcer Day is brought to you by Eastern Hyundai dealers.
Thanks, Mr. Ocello. Hi, I'm Katie from Needham. Leading off for the Red Sox, the second baseman, Dustin Pedroia. In right field, Brock Holt. In left field, Hanley Ramirez. The DH, David Ortiz. The first baseman, Mike Napoli. The third baseman, Pablo Sandoval. The shortstop, Xander Bogaerts. The catcher, Sandy Leone. And batting ninth in center field, Rusney Castillo.
Good job, Katie. Dustin Pedroia leading it off here in the bottom of the first inning. Pedroia with a count of 0-1. We'll take a pitch over the outside corner for strike two. The A's starting pitcher presented by New England Nissan dealers. Kendall Graveman making his 8th start of the year. 3-2 with a 5.56 earned run average. 18 strikeouts to 15 walks. And opponents hitting at 302 against Graveman. This is laced foul down into the seats. Last 3 starts for Graveman. 2-0 with a 3.06 ERA. Opponents hitting at 261 against him.
Second time this year he has been called up by the Athletics. Got a win in his last outing against the Detroit Tigers, going 6 innings in that game.
Pedroia reaches out, sends it down the right field line, but it will go foul. Pedroia now, Holt next. Red Sox batting here in the bottom of the first inning. Now for Pedroia, a 6-game hitting streak. 12 for his last 24. He's had a terrific homestand. He's 4 for 7 in this series, but strikes out in his first at bat today.
The A's defense is brought to you by DraftKings. They are last in the league with 57 errors in 58 games. Brent Laurie will be at third base. Marcus Semien, the shortstop. Eric Sogard at second. And Stephen Vogt, the first baseman. Left to right, Mark Canner, Billy Burns, and Josh Reddick. And Josh Begley doing the catching for Graveman.
One down here in the bottom of the first inning, and brings up Brock Holt. Well, batting in the 2 spot again today, but he shifts from third base to right field. He had 288 with a home run, 12 runs batted in. Outfield plays him about straight away. Four for 13 on the homestand for Brock Holt. Day games this season. Brock Holt hitting at .391, courtesy of Alex Spear, the Boston Globe.
All the members of the Red Sox today in the starting lineup facing Graveman for the first time.
Framed by Fegley, but called the ball as Graveman falls behind here. 3-1. Ball 4, and Brock Holt headed down to first base. A 1-out walk for the Red Sox here in the first inning. Want to be part of a live studio audience of Dining Playbook? You can on June 10th at Tuscan Kitchen in Burlington. Billy Costa, Jenny Johnson, and Chief Food Taster Joe Farrell will be there filming an episode. Visit NESN.com/Tuscan for tickets. 1 out, 1 on, and Hanley Ramirez the batter. Hanley checks in, hitting at .272, 13 homers and 31 runs batted in. 4 for 8 in this series against the Oakland A's. Ball gets away. Holt's going to try to get a second. He will be out. A pretty good bid there by Brock, breaking right away on a ball in the dirt, but an even better throw from Josh Fegley, who gets him.
Yeah, and watch where the ball goes to Fegley. It hits off Hanley Ramirez, which drops it right back into his hand, and that's going to be the reason that Holt's going to be out at second. I mean, that ball hits Ramirez, as you can see, and Fegley right there to make it, and they're just waiting on Brock Holt at second base.
So now the base is empty here for Hanley Ramirez. After the walk to Holt. Now a broken bat goes off the front of the dugout for the Oakland A's, and the ball ends up in the left field corner. Mark Canha trying to dig it out, and it's a 2-out double for Hanley Ramirez.
Well, Hanley now in 4 straight games, 7 for his last 14. Gets that fastball inside, shatters the bat, as you can see right there, and puts it right down that left field corner to get in a scoring position with 2 outs. So a nice defensive play by Ramirez so far in this game, and now the 2-out double.
So 2 down, Ramirez at second base. And David Ortiz with a chance to do some damage. And David takes strike 1. Scored his 1,068th run as a member of the Red Sox on Saturday, and passed Wade Boggs for 6th most in club history. Breaking ball snapped off outside, 1-1.
Graveman actually faced the Red Sox one time a year ago and only faced Yoenis Cespedes. He was with the Toronto Blue Jays at the time.
Tough time with 3 through 5. And this one fouled off into the seats. Ortiz on the ground, foul outside of first base. Ortiz may have gone. They're going to check. Yes, he did. David strikes out to end the inning as Wintelstead rings him up from third base. Scoreless after one.
When Clay Buchholz took the mound for this one, he started the game with an ERA under 4 for the first time since opening day. In fact, a month ago, that ERA was over 6. But that was BC before cut. A dramatic haircut after a 5-1 loss to Tampa Bay, and his ERA is under 2 ever since. He said after that loss, it was time to change things up on the mound and on his scalp.
I mean, it was as simple as me coming into the clubhouse one day, and Picano, he's the guy that cuts all the guys' hair. I was like, if he walks in the door today, I'm doing something. So right when he walked in, I was like, hey, I'm going to come let you cut me up real quick. And, you know, Joe Kelly's sort of the base of it. It's sort of the Joe Kelly type of haircut.
Well, he was appearing on our pregame show, guys, and he joked that if he looks a little more like Joe Kelly, maybe he'll get a couple miles more on his fastball like Joe Kelly. But so far, so good, although that's base hit up the middle, Don. I know you love it when we do play-by-play from the sidelines.
All right, TC, as this one is grounded back up the middle by Billy Butler, first base runner of the day for the Oakland A's. After Buchholz enjoyed a 1-2-3 first inning, but Butler with a base hit to start the second inning. Josh Reddick coming up here with a runner at first base, and nobody out in the second for the Athletics. Reddick under 300 at 296, 8 homers and 32 runs batted in. He started very well, did Reddick, hitting at 389 in the first 20 games of the year, but over the last 31 hitting at 237. Has always hit well against his old team. Of course, coming up in the Red Sox organization, first major league action as a member of the Boston Red Sox. This one in the dirt. No advance for Butler, who does not run well at first base.
He's also hit well against Clay Buchholz in his career, over 300 with a home run. Billy Butler over at first base, a very, very small lead.
Three seasons, parts of for Reddick in a Red Sox uniform. As he grounds it foul. It's time to vote for your Red Sox All-Stars using the 2015 Esurance MLB All-Star Game ballot at redsox.com. Make sure to vote early and often. Billy Butler aboard at first base to begin things here in the second inning for the Athletics. Buchholz ahead of Reddick, 1-2.
Whoa, good
Very
pitch.
close.
Yeah, good pitch by Buchholz. The cut fastball right at the bottom of the strike zone, but not getting the call from Davidson.
Reddick breaking into the big leagues with the Red Sox in 2009. 27 games that year with the Red Sox, hitting 169. 29 games in 2011, and then 87 games in his final season with the Red Sox. 32 home runs in his first year with the Oakland A's. And lines this foul down towards the tarp area. Ace Ticket, the official Red Sox ticket partner, has the best seats at the lowest prices to all the games at Fenway. All with a 200% guarantee. Right now, Ace Ticket has special savings on all Red Sox games, including the Yankees. Visit Ace Ticket or call 1-800-MY-SEATS. A great crowd on hand here today for day baseball from Fenway Park. Up over the outstretched glove of Pedroia and into right field for a base hit for Reddick. Taking second is Billy Butler, and the first two Oakland A's have reached here in the second inning.
Well, the success continues for Reddick against Buchholz. This is a changeup that's away, and it's slightly toward the end of the bat, but up over the head of Dustin Pedroia. Not a hard line drive, but perfect placement by Reddick, and something going here for the A's in the second inning. Base runner to first base. Butler had to wait to make sure that Pedroia was not going to make a play on that, and then made his way to second base.
2 on, nobody out, and Brent Lawrie, the batter. Open stance as he'll take strike one. Former Toronto Blue Jay hitting at .291 with 5 homers and 23 runs batted in. From Langley, British Columbia, now resides in Peoria, Arizona. Coming over for Josh Donaldson, along with today's starting pitcher for the Oakland A's, Kendall Graveman, part of that deal coming from the Blue Jays. Starts with 4 seasons with the Blue Jays. This is his first year with the Oakland A's. And a swing and a miss. Pretty big swing there. He's down 1-2.
Yeah, change up again from Buchholz at about 80 miles an hour against the off-balance swing that time from Lawrie. All that weight shifted to his front foot.
Tough numbers against Clay Buchholz in the course of his career spent in the American League East. Just away.
Tries the cut fastball after the changeup. The cut fastball away, and a little bit outside for Buchholz.
On deck is Mark Canha, the left fielder for the A's. 30th pitch for Buchholz. And it's on the ground softly towards Sandoval at third base. Got one play. It's at first, and he does make it. A little help from Napoli digging it out at first. They get Lawrie, but the runner is moving to scoring position with now 1 down.
Now that was close at first base. Lawrie gets down that line pretty well, especially from the right side of the plate. And Sandoval, the ball not hit very hard, had no time to waste at all. Quick release, the low throw to first base, but right there to make the play is Napoli. And you can see Lawrie hustling down the line, just beats it by got beat by a half a step.
Join Pedro in Cooperstown this July. VIP travel packages, including transportation, hotel accommodations, induction tickets, and more are available. Visit redsox.com/2015 HOF for details. Runners at second and third. One out for Mark Canha. .231 with 7 homers and 22 runs batted in. Fly ball struck well to right field. On the run is Holt. Over on the warning track, and Holt drops the ball. Run will come in from third and Billy Butler. There'll only be one Oakland run on that, as the ball does get away, but Napoli will run it down. Looks like Holt had it, but had a jar out of the glove as he hit the wall down the right field line.
Yeah, again, Holt going right up to that wall, and you'll see him bang into it. He looks like he's got the baseball lined up, but then the glove hits the wall as he's trying to make the catch. Base runners had to hold up to see if he would make the catch, so only one run scores, but they do have second and third with one out. Baseball and wall came into the play at the same time there for Brock Holt.
So second and third with one out, a run in here for the A's. And Josh Phegley, number 8 batter and catcher, standing in. Phegley hitting at .297, coming in with a home run, 6 runs batted in. That'll get through Leon. Here comes from third base Josh Reddick. He'll get in. Moving up to third is Canha. Right through the wickets, it looked like there for Leon, and the Oakland A's take a 2-0 lead.
Yeah, which is a little bit of a surprise because Leon's very good behind the plate, and he called for the changeup, which we'd expect to be down in the dirt, and it gets through the 5-hole. Glove came up a little bit for Leon, unable to block it or catch it, and a gift run right there for the Athletics.
George Buchholz with a wild pitch. That gets Reddick in from third and Canha to third base. Infield in all the way around. And a pitch up high from Buchholz, who falls behind here 3-0.
If there is contact on the ground, I wouldn't be at all surprised they do play contact with that runner at third base. That means go as soon as the ball is hit if it's going toward the ground.
Ball 4, and Phegley down to first base. There's the first free pass served up by Buchholz. And this will bring Carl Willis out. Well, Tuesday on an all-new Red Sox report, Fred Lynn shares the story of his baseball journey from Southern California to center field at Fenway Park during this week's episode. Catch it Tuesday at 5 p.m. Now 2 runs for the Oakland A's so far here in the second inning. They're trying to minimize the damage. Interesting note there from Alex Spear. 3.61 ERA for Carl Willis since taking over as the pitching coach. 5.69 and a tough start for the Red Sox as far as their starters went, but they have been much better. And today the announcement from John Farrell that Stephen Wright will be moved to the bullpen for the Red Sox, and they'll go back to a 5-man rotation. Joe Kelly, who had a very good start here yesterday, will start on Friday here at Fenway Park against the Toronto Blue Jays. So kind of wondered how that would shake down, and today we found out before the ball game. So Wright available in the pen. There's a bunt bid, and it is fouled off.
And again, not a suicide squeeze that time, just a bunt attempt by Sogard. And if the bunt gets down on the ground, that's when the runner at third base will go. You see he's not charging home. He's waiting to see what happens with the bunt and where it goes.
Down and in, a ball and a strike to Sogard, batting out of the number 9 spot in the order. Back-to-back base hits to begin this inning for the A's. They have both scored in Butler and Reddick. Off-balance swing for Sogard. The changeup so far has been a very good pitch for Clay Buchholz.
Yeah, and this is a very good one going down and away from Sogard. Again, that off-balance swing, when you see all that weight on that front foot, indication that the pitch is probably off speed and is probably the changeup.
Line to right and in for a base hit. From third comes Canna. Fegley will be stopped at second base, and the Oakland A's take a 3-0 lead. RBI single for Eric Sogard.
Tried to sneak the fastball by him inside after the changeup away, and Sogard is ready for it. That's a solid line drive to right field to drive in a run.
His second career hit for Sogard at Fenway Park now. 2 for 20 in his career. So 2 on, still just 1 out in the inning, 3 runs in. And Billy Burns gets a second at bat, pops it up foul, off to the right now to play.
And it burns up. The second baseman and shortstop, Pedroia and Bogaerts, have to really play shallow, because if any thought of turning over a double play, this guy's got very good speed and it's tough to do. So you see him in a little bit closer than they normally would be.
Popped up foul, back into the seats. Tough inning here for Clay Buchholz and the Red Sox so far. Oakland with 3 in the top of the second inning, looking for more as Buchholz twists off the backside. No throw. Red Sox winning the first 2 games of this series, but unable to gain any ground in the division as the Yankees continue to win, and the Red Sox find themselves still 5.5 games back as now Leon and Buchholz go back and forth. Tampa Bay did lose last night, but the Yankees continue to win, and the Red Sox, despite the last couple of days winning, still 5.5 games back, and their next foe will be the team that is with them 5.5 games back in the Baltimore Orioles. Buchholz ahead 0-2. And he's able to strike out Burns. The first K of the day, much needed for Clay Buchholz.
You know, an old theory used to be, well, guys who are not power hitters just throw them fastballs, and I never believed in that, because I was not a power hitter and I had an awful tough time with off-speed pitches, with changeups. I think that's a very good pitch, even though it's not the location that Buchholz wants. You know, you got guys up there that rely on hitting fastballs, slapping them all over the ballpark. Well, you throw them off-speed pitches and you completely fool them.
Make insurance, great service, great coverage, and a great price for auto, home, or life insurance. 2 down here in the second inning. Marcus Semien, the shortstop, flied out to left field in the first inning. Well, 2 outs and runners in scoring position. Semien just a 148 hitter. Fly to left field in the first inning, getting his second look today at Clay Buchholz. And a foul back to the right. Semien appearing in 58 of the last 59 Oakland A's games. It's their everyday shortstop. He'll take a pitch inside, and he's ahead now 3-1. 4th 3-ball count already for Clay Buchholz in this contest, and he's an inning and 2/3 deep. 31st pitch of the inning coming up for Clay. And a pop-up in the infield. Sandoval ranging into foul ground. makes the catch that ends the inning, but the Oakland A's put a 3-spot on the board, lead it 3-0. Will highlight the 1975 Red Sox in honor of their 40th anniversary and their 58th game of the 75 season. Red Sox beat the Tigers 7-6. Yaz went 3 for 5 with a double and a run scored. And Bernie Carbo drove in 2 runs and scored twice for the Sox. 3-0 Oakland A's on top of the Red Sox, scoring 3 times in their half of the second. With work to do, Mike Napoli, Pablo Sandoval, and Xander Bogaerts coming up here in the second inning. Kendall Graveman now with that 3-run lead. Walked a batter, gave up a hit in the first, had 2 strikeouts, but Red Sox did not push across a run. Napoli will take strike 1. 6 for 21 on the homestand is Napoli. A couple of doubles and a home run. On the outside corner, and that's the one that Napoli has not liked, and that is not a strike.
No, this homestand has had its share of outside fastballs that have been called strikes on Napoli, and he hasn't liked any of them.
On the ground to the left side. It's cut off by Laurie, the third baseman, who throws out Napoli. Well, right now you can get up to 60 months with no interest on anything at Jordan's Furniture. Furnish one room or your entire home. Best of all, you'll get to enjoy it now. Visit Jordans.com for details. One out here in the second inning. It brings up Pablo Sandoval. Pablo having the last 2 days off, and Sandoval back at his third base spot and batting 6th in the Red Sox order.
And before getting that time off, Sandoval 0 for his last 12 at the plate, average down to 239.
And struggling defensively, a couple of errors in the finale of the series against the Minnesota Twins. Fouled off to the left, out of play. Sandoval 12 hits shy of 1,000 in his career. Sitting at 988 heading into today's action. Lions it foul down the left field line into the seats. That'll stay foul. Sandoval grounding it outside at first. Well, tonight at 6 on the Ultimate Red Sox Show, Tom Caron will have the best moments from the week that was in Red Sox baseball. That's tonight on the Ultimate Red Sox Show, presented by AAA. Full count to Pablo Sandoval with 1 out, bases empty. Here for the Red Sox in the bottom of the second inning. Sandoval through the right side. He's got himself a base hit. Reddick over to play it, but Sandoval with a hit in his first at bat after having the last couple of days off.
Gets a cut fastball that time, able to pull it quickly by Vogt at first base. So, you know, it's amazing. Sometimes you just get a little break, a little mental break and physical break, and you come back and all of a sudden things turn around for you. I'm not saying, you know, they're completely turned around, but obviously the base hit is a nice start for Sandoval.
1 out, 1 on, and Xander Bogaerts the batter. Bats out of the 7 spot today for the Red Sox. Xander 2 for 7 in the series against the A's. 10 for 21 on the homestand for Bogaerts. Average has been hovering around 300 for Xander, and 297 coming in. Off balance swing there to pitch away, 1-2.
A good cut fastball that time by Graveman. He keeps it away from Xander Bogaerts. Starts it on the outside part of the plate and actually finishes off the plate.
Swing and a miss on a pitch biting in on him that time at 92 miles an hour. Third strikeout for Graveman. And there are 2 outs here in the second inning.
Now, good job of going east and west, and you know, comes back inside with that sinking fastball after going away with the cut fastball. So, I mean, as a hitter, you don't know what to look for. The ball inside, outside, up or down, and very good pitch that time by Graveman.
So 2 down. Sandoval at first base, held on by Vogt. And Sandy Leon, the batter. It's a ground ball under the glove of Vogt, and a fair ball. Heading for third is Sandoval. Heading for second is Leon. He'll get there, and the Red Sox have runners at second and third with 2 outs. Reddick throwing it homeward. And Sandoval was not going to have a chance to try and score there, but it is second and third and just under the glove of Stephen Vogt at first base.
Yeah, you can see the first baseman Vogt bouncing off the bag, and then the ball was going to be to his left. He tries to regroup to get up, make a play on this, but the glove never really reaches out that far for him. Ball goes over the bag and down in the corner, and 2-men in scoring position.
Well, prior to that double for Leon, he had the most at bats in the major leagues without an extra base hit, and Leon has himself his first double as he stands at second base, second and third. Rizne Castillo taking strike 1.
2 big runs out there. The Red Sox should quickly get back in the ball game.
Rizne getting the start in center field today after a couple of starts in right.
Nothing wrong with Mookie Betts, just getting the day off, and followed by another day off, scheduled day off tomorrow.
Big swing there for Rizne, almost fell down.
That's a tough pitch because he throws it as a 2-seamer, and it really comes barreling back in on those right-handed hitters.
That would be a lane changer.
That is a lane changer right there, Don. You're exactly right.
Castillo lines out to third. Brett Lawrie makes the grab on the hot shot to end the inning, and the Red Sox threat goes by the boards. Enjoy a 3-0 lead. Red Sox threatened but did not score, as Boston unable to get a couple runs in there, leaving runners at second and third, as it turns out. And here is Stephen Vogt to lead it off for the Athletics in the top half of the third inning.
Well, Rusney Castillo doing his part, and that's make solid contact. But unfortunately, right there is Brett Lawrie to take a base hit away and take away 2 runs from the Red Sox.
Vogt 0 for 1, grounded out to Mike Napoli at first base in the first inning. To right field, in comes Holt, and Brock will make the catch. Hung up long enough for him to run in and grab that, as Vogt lines out to right for the first out of the third inning.
Yeah, that's a tough play for Brock Holt, because that is a sinking hardline drive heading out in his direction, and sometimes you get trapped out there. Do I catch you with the glove up, down? Keeps the glove up this time and is able to make the play. You see this ball line shot and sinking quickly.
And one down for Billy Butler, as Butler takes strike one. He singled and scored in the second inning. Broken back grounder up the middle, ranging is Bogaerts, and he will get it there in time. Butler does not run well. Had time to get that done without a problem. 2 away.
Yeah, good play by Xander Bogaerts, knowing that Butler does not run well, and he didn't have to rush. So he had to go a long way to make this play up the middle, as you can see, but there was no panic, no rush after he makes the play. He sees the runner, knows he has a lot of time, and makes the throw to first base.
2 down, 4 in a row. Retired here by Buchholz now. Josh Reddick, the batter. Reddick, his first time up, single to right field, part of the 3-run inning for the Oakland A's, and he'd come around to score the second Athletics run. Fly ball left field. It sends Ramirez back, looking up, and that is off the wall. The carom, Hanley runs down, but into second base is Josh Reddick with a wall ball double with 2 down, his second hit of the afternoon.
Well, Josh Reddick continues to have great success against Clay Buchholz. He came into the game well over 300 against him, and this time a ball high off that left field wall to get into scoring position with 2 outs. So strange how there are certain pitches, and man, Buchholz has to be that for Reddick. You just see the ball very well. You pick it up well out of his hand, and you have good at bats.
2 down, runner at second for Brett Lawrie. He grounded out to his counterpart at third base, and Pablo Sandoval back in the second inning. Line foul down towards Canvas Alley. Boston-based daily fantasy company DraftKings.com, the official daily fantasy partner of your Boston Red Sox. And they're giving out $300 million in cash prizes. Enter promo code NESSON to play for free. Lawrie grounds one down to Napoli at first base, and Napoli will tag the bag and end the inning. 2.5 done from Fenway, 3-0 A's. Back at Fenway Park, where the Wally wave took place here in between innings, and it even happened in the booth, apparently. I don't remember that. But anyway.
Oh, I remember it.
We have a different take on the Wally wave than most. It's different. Wally just does the same stuff over and over again. We mix it up.
Actually, what they were doing in the booth prior to the game was playing disco music, and you looked horrible.
I'm all hands, Jerry. I told you that. That is the way I dance.
Yeah, you are.
That's how I roll, you know. This is into right field. And a base hit for Dustin Pedroia, his first hit of the day, and good start to the bottom of the third inning.
And Pedroia going to the opposite field because he pulls the ball most of the time, but this time picking up the base hit. And that ball's inside, too. That's usually one he does pull.
Well, has a 7-game hitting streak. Here is Brock Holt, who walked in the first inning. And on the grass at third is Brett Laurie. Three runs, 5 hits, no errors for the A's. No runs, 4 hits, and no errors for the Red Sox. This is laced into center field for a base hit. Up to second goes Pedroia, and the first 2 Red Sox have reached here on solid base hits to begin the bottom of the third inning.
A very solid base hit to the opposite field for Pedroia, up the middle for Brock Holt as he'll take this fastball. It's down, out over the plate, and rifle it up the middle for the base hit, right over the head of Fagan, the second base umpire.
Two on, nobody out, and Hanley Ramirez coming up. He had a double in the first inning. Now 1 of 5 Red Sox hits today off Kendall Graveman. Strike over the outside corner. Pedroia at second base, Holt at first with nobody out in the Red Sox third inning. Inside to Ramirez. On the ground softly towards third. Laurie's going to touch third and then throw across to first for a double play. Nice play by Brett Laurie right around the bag at third base. Got the force out there and then threw out Ramirez at first. So a double play.
Yeah, Laurie's been involved in saving runs so far today for the Athletics. The line drive from Castillo last inning. Now the step on the third base bag and across the diamond to get Hanley Ramirez. Those are the type of ground balls sometimes when you think about 3, but it wasn't hit hard enough to go from third to second to first.
So 2 down, Holt at second base, and here's David Ortiz. Big Papi struck out swinging in the first inning. And there for strike 1 on the breaking ball. The Yankees are winning again today on top of Los Angeles 5-2 in the 5th inning at Yankee Stadium. So they continue to roll right along. They've won 5 in a row and have a lead today. Well, the reason the Red Sox haven't been able to catch up and make any ground, even though winning the last 2 games in a row, the Red Sox still 5.5 games back of the Yankees.
Yeah, that's frustrating. You start playing better, or you're playing better baseball, and you just can't make up ground because the Yankees continue to win.
John Farrell's Red Sox after the game traveling to Baltimore. Pitch is outside. Red Sox will have an off day tomorrow and then begin a 3-game series against the O's on Tuesday night. Time call. David waiting here on Kendall Graveman, who has fallen behind in the count, 3-1. Mike Napoli waits on deck. Red Sox batting here in the home half of the 3rd inning, trying to push across a run, and Graveman twists off the backside of the hill.
Very concerned with a 3-run lead with that man at second base, when the concern probably should be with Big Papi.
Ortiz fouling it off over by the Red Sox dugout. Now, membership has its privileges. Learn how you can join the most exclusive sports membership in Boston as a Red Sox season ticket holder. Email new season tickets at redsox.com or visit redsox.com/season tickets today for more information. Two outs in the 3rd. Brock Holt at second base. Full count to Big Papi David Ortiz, and Graveman has brought this game to a halt. David stepping out again. Ortiz takes ball 4 as the ball gets away. To third base goes Brock Holt. So the second walk given up by Graveman. Well, did you miss the all-new NESN Clubhouse? Catch it after our Red Sox post-game coverage today. David Ortiz teaches his son D'Angelo how to hit to the opposite field, and Brock Holt takes the hot seat in Red Sox Small Talk. All that and more on the encore presentation of NESN Clubhouse coming up right after our post-game coverage. Pass ball allows Holt to get to third base. David Ortiz walks, 1st and 3rd, 2 down. There's Mike Napoli, who grounded out to Brett Laurie at third base in the 2nd inning. And a swing and a miss for strike 1.
Cut fastball again that time, and you could see it clearly about 2 inches from the barrel of the bat of Mike Napoli.
50th pitch for Graveman of his outing, and Napoli fouls it back. Runners in scoring position and 2 outs. Napoli has 5 hits in his last 9 at bats. 273 overall. He's got Holt at third. David Ortiz crossed the diamond at first. Ortiz takes off. Napoli strikes out and ends the inning. 4th strikeout for Graveman. A's have a 3-0 lead through 3. And all you have to do to get $100 is open an Eastern free checking account. Learn more at easternbank.com/free checking. Back at Fenway Park, where the Oakland A's have a 3-0 advantage over the Red Sox. Both teams with 5 hits. And it's on to the top of the 4th inning for Clay Buchholz. The one trouble inning for Buchholz was the 2nd inning when the A's sent 8 men to the plate and scored 3 times. Mark Canha to lead it off here for the Athletics. Doubled to drive in a run in the 2nd inning. Canha, Fegley, and Sogard to bat in the inning. Curveball to begin the inning. A little bit high, apparently. Buchholz wanted it. Outfield set up straight away on Mark Canha, who's been playing at first base in this series. Shifts to the outfield today for the finale of this series. And drives one towards left field. Down towards the corner. Ramirez over. And it is a fair ball off the wall. Bangs around the garage door. Ramirez running it down, but it'll be a double for Mark Canha to begin things here in the 4th inning.
Well, second double of the day for Canha, and this comes on back-to-back breaking balls. The second breaking ball he's able to make contact with and put it off that left field line just in fair territory. Ramirez going back. He knows it's going to be off the wall, and he can see it right barely in fair territory there, just to the right of the yellow line. A little trouble digging it out of the corner, but it was going to be 2 bases anyway.
Josh Fegley, the catcher, who walked his first time up, grounds one towards the end of the Red Sox dugout.
Clearly trying to move the ball to the right side there with that very late swing, trying to hit a ground ball to second base and advance that runner to third base in less than 2 outs.
Oakland A's had showed up playing relatively good baseball. They had won 4 straight games coming in, but Red Sox win the first 2. Today they have a 3-0 advantage and trying to add on to it. Look out. In behind the Red Sox dugout, a hot shot.
Trying it again, trying to do the same thing. Now with 2 strikes, all bets are off. You kind of, if it happens, it goes to the right side, fine. But right now you're trying to get a base hit.
In the dirt, gathered by Leon. No advance for Canha at second base. Foul off to the right, out of play. Red Sox Suites and Premium Packages provide a VIP experience for you and your guests. Call 877-RED-SOX-9 or email premiumsales@redsox.com for more information. Xander Bogaerts coming in from short as Sandy Leon made a mound visit.
And they may want to change signs, and that's the reason that Bogaerts comes in also, because those middle infielders have to know the signs.
Fouled off to the right, out of play. Nice grab one-handed. Phone and Bevy in the other.
He should give the ball to the lady. She was prepared with 2 hands to make the catch, but he's not going to give it up. What would you do in that situation, Don? Would you give it to the lady?
I would.
I don't think you would. I really don't think you would.
Why do you think that? Why? You think I'd keep myself no sharing? I mean, I'm a pretty generous person. No,
I wouldn't say that. No, I wouldn't. I think right now you'd have that ball. You'd be in your car on the way home.
Outside, and it is 2-2. I can tell, though, it has not crossed his mind to offer up that baseball. I don't think it's
not yet. Not until somebody calls him and tells him we're talking about him.
Yeah.
Then he might give it up.
Yeah, he's looking around now. Two-two pitch. Fegley fouls off another. He's battling here against Clay Buchholz. Starting to hurt my feelings. First, I'm a bad dancer.
Well, we know that.
And now I'm a terrible person. I'm not very generous at all.
I didn't say you were a terrible person.
2-2 pitch in the air to left has Hanley Ramirez going back, and this ball is going to be high off the wall. Canna comes around from second. He'll score. The throw to second is not in time. Fegley's got a wall ball double. The Oakland A's add to their lead, take a 4-0 lead against Clay Buchholz.
Well, that's terrible right there, as Fegley, who was trying to move the runner to third base, gets a changeup. Remember, with 2 strikes, all bets are off. You're on your own there, and that time he plants it off the left field wall, high off the left field wall, and another run in for the Athletics.
Eric Sogard, number 9 man, coming up. This bottom of the order has been very productive for the A's so far today. They have 4 hits, 3 doubles, and a walk in this game. And Buchholz has not been able to retire the 7, 8, or 9 man yet. There's a breaking ball in there for strike 1 to Sogard, who has an RBI single of his own, batting out of the number 9 spot. We told you earlier that Stephen Wright available in the bullpen, and there he is, warming up now. First reliever for the Red Sox up in the pen as Buchholz allows back-to-back doubles to begin things here in the 4th, and a run. Sandoval in on the grass at third. In there for strike 2. Center fielder Rusney Castillo over towards left center field. Outside, 2-2. Pitch count rising here for Buchholz, but moreover right now ineffective. Trying to grab his first out here of the 4th inning. It's been a struggle. Double for Canna, double for Fegley. Now a 2-2 count to Eric Sogard. Pitch 71 of his outing coming up. Full count now. In the air, foul off to the left. Eric Sogard, 28 years of age, from Phoenix, Arizona. In the air down the right field line. This is going to fall foul and into the seats. Clay Buchholz's pitching line is brought to you by Ace Ticket. And for Clay here in 3+ innings, 7 hits, 4 runs. They're all earned. He's walked a batter, struck out a batter. Now 73 pitches deep into his outing. On the ground, foul outside of first.
A long battle here. Sogard putting on a pretty good at bat against Buchholz, running that count 3-2, fouling off some pitches. Still nobody out here in the top of the 4th.
The same kind of at bat turned in by Josh Fegley, who ended up doubling to drive in a run. And ball 4. He walks Sogard, the number 9 man. Second walk given up by Buchholz. Now 2 on, nobody out, and Billy Burns at top of the order coming up.
May see Billy Burns bunt right here. We'll see with nobody out in first and second. Sandoval in third base. We're going to have a visit first by Kyle Willis, the pitching coach. The A's do not bunt very much, but with this combination they may try to and get 2 more men in scoring position.
Aha.
Ah, that's nice.
There you go. Oh boy. Oh no.
Isn't that nice? That's very nice. And they made friends.
Yes, how about
now
that?
Now they're chatting. See?
On the ground, softly hit towards short. Bogart's got no play. Kind of flips it in the direction of third, hoping that Fegley may round it, but he gets right onto the bag. It is a base hit, and the bases are now loaded.
Now that's better than a bunt right there. Just a little squib toward shortstop, and you can see because of the bunt situation, Sandoval was coming in, then had to go back to third base, but there was no bunt attempt. It was a swing and just dribbles out to Bogaerts. He had no play at all.
So bases loaded here with nobody out, and Marcus Semien, the batter, 0 for 2 already. He's flied to left and fouled out to third, and fouls it off himself now. A career .250 hitter with the bases loaded, has 1 grand slam to his credit. .22 pitches so far this inning for Clay Buchholz, and has not recorded an out. Stephen Wright still warming in the pen. Semien fouls it off, and now Buchholz ahead 1-2. Wright's ready to go, it appears, should they decide to go in his direction. Swing and a miss, and Buchholz a much needed strikeout there. Marcus Semien, only his 2nd strikeout today, but that's out number 1 of the inning.
And when in need of a strikeout, Buchholz goes to the cut fastball off the plate. Starts it on the outside corner, and you can see it spinning, and Ends up about 2 or 3 inches off the outside part of the plate. No contact by Semien, and now the Red Sox can get a double play, hopefully, and get out of this inning.
For every strikeout by a Red Sox pitcher at Fenway Park in June, Aetna will donate $250 to Boston Healthcare for the Homeless Program. To their continued efforts in the local community, Aetna is helping to build a healthier world, one city, one strikeout at a time. An off-balance swing there for Stephen Vogt.
I'm sorry, Don. I didn't know you had a promo to read, or I would have cut my expert and analyst down a little bit.
It was going on and on.
Yeah, it was. It was, and it was really not much coming out. It was wasn't real good.
Pitch is high to Vogt, and it's a ball and a strike. Run in here for the A's, who lead it now 4-0. They got 3 runs in the second, 1 so far here in the fourth. Bouncing in, blocked by Leon. Nice play, saved a run right there.
I had one of those go through the 5-hole earlier in the ball game, but this time on the changeup, able to slide over and block the baseball. Same pitch, changeup.
Swing and a miss. Off balance again.
And once again, the changeup from Buchholz. This is a very good one. Off balance swing by Vogt.
This grand slam coming this year for Stephen Vogt. Kind of yanked it down and in. Full count.
It looked like Sandy Leon caught that off the heel of his glove, too.
Bases filled with A's with 1 out here in the 4th inning. Buchholz trying to minimize the damage. Strike 3 call. Back-to-back Ks for Buchholz, 2 down.
Well, when he's really needed it for strikeouts, he's going to the cut fastball. He went to the cut fastball away to Semien, the right-handed hitter. Now the cut fastball on the outside part of the plate right there to Vogt. You see the spin on it right at the end, and hitter gives up on that. He thinks the ball's going to be away.
There is Billy Butler, 1 for 2 in the ball game. Butler with a single to center field in the second, grounded out to short in the 3rd inning. And a ground ball right side. Pedroia there to play a tough hop and throws to first to end the inning. So Buchholz does minimize the damage. A run for Oakland on top 4-0. Eastern Bank, being first feels like $100. Just open an Eastern free checking account in the month of June and you'll get $100. Learn more at easternbank.com/free checking. Pablo Sandoval leading it off and taking strike one here in the bottom of the fourth inning. Pitch outside to Sandoval. Popped up. Foul ground as Laurie hits over towards the dugout and will not have a play. Lands on top of the roof of the dugout, out of his reach.
And before they put those fences in front of the dugout, which has been quite a while now, you used to be able to climb down the steps, and it would make it possible to maybe make a catch on that, but not any longer. Much safer on those dugouts, so obviously with those fences up like that.
Sandoval with a single to right field in the second inning as one of 5 Red Sox hits today. Boston has had a few chances. They have left 5 men on through the first 3 innings. Sprays this one foul to the left. Get immediate care without leaving the ballpark at the Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center First Aid Station, located behind Section 12 on the lower concourse. BIDMC is the official hospital of the Boston Red Sox. Sandoval goes down to get this and lifts it in the air to left. Marcana is there to make the catch for the first out of the fourth inning. So Pablo retired. That'll take us to Xander Bogaerts. Beautiful day in Boston. Our aerial coverage is provided by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. 1 out in the fourth inning for Xander Bogaerts. Struck out swinging in the second. 4 strikeouts today for Kendall Graveman, who has been given a 4-0 advantage and has pitched his way in and out of trouble in a couple of innings, but Red Sox have not been able to get a run so far. Comes in 3-2 with a 5.56 earned run average. 8th start of the year. In the air to left field. Canna out there and left. That was the first 2 outs here, the fourth inning out there in left field. Well, don't miss WB Mason Extra Innings Live right after the game. Adam Pellerin and Jim Rice will have highlights. You'll hear from Clay Buchholz and John Farrell. Whatever, whenever, wherever. Who but WB Mason?
Did you see Jim in the pregame show today?
I did. That was some kind of suit.
That was some kind of suit with sunglasses on.
Yes, I saw.
Wow. I mean, we don't get suits like that.
No. No. Gyms are unique. Sandy Leon in there for a strike. Jim's was like from what I could see, was kind of like a royal blue, wasn't it?
It's like a royal blue. Then it was, I think it was a tan vest he had on to go along with that. Very, very sharp.
He's a terrific dresser. There's no doubt about that. But the sunglasses, you're right. I noticed that too. It was kind of sunny on Yawkey Way today. So, in defense.
No, it really fit in with the whole look.
Yeah. Strike over the inside corner, and it's 1-2 to Leon. I just got a text. 2-2 pitch is fouled into the catcher's mitt. Figley holds on. That's 5 strikeouts for Graveman and a 4-0 Oakland A's lead.
Coors Light, the Red Sox have the 7th pick in the first round of tomorrow's Major League Baseball draft. According to Sports Illustrated, the Sox lead the majors with 68 All-Star seasons from drafted players. Now, it's the second time in 3 years the Red Sox will pick 7th overall. Trey Ball, a couple of years ago, was their pick, who continues to work his way up through the minors. But if you kind of try to speculate on what you might get as the 7th pick, you can look at recent history over the last 15 years. How about guys like Matt Harvey, Clayton Kershaw, Troy Tulowitzki, Bailey Markakis, fielders, some pretty big names have gone 7th overall. And, of course, the draft has become a big-time event down in New York City. It'll be happening tomorrow. Tim Wakefield will be representing the Red Sox, calling out the names. Jerry, I know it's changed a lot since when you got drafted back in the day.
It sure has changed a lot. It's become big time now. Actually, when I got the call, I thought they had the wrong number. It wasn't very much of a call. It was just, yeah, you've been drafted by the Washington Senators. So congratulations. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You mean there wasn't a camera crew at your house waiting for a reaction? No. Reddick fouls it off to the left, out of play. Down 0-2.
You know, guys, Jim Rice, who was a first-round pick, I don't know if he was wearing sunglasses at the time, but he tells me that he was in the middle of a game of pool at the local billiards hall when he got tapped on the shoulder and said, hey, you went in the first round. He later bought that billiards table and has it at his house. And now you can see, you guys were talking about his suit before. This is why I don't even try to keep up with him with my Abood. No chance competing with the Hall of Famer Jim Rice in his outfit, guys.
Also, he is claiming, Jerry, that those are prescription glasses. They are not sunglasses.
I believe that. I believe anything Jim says.
That was the text that I received last inning. And the 1-2 pitch. A swing and a miss. And Reddick, who had 2 hits coming into this at bat, becomes the 4th strikeout victim of the day for Clay Buchholz.
Buchholz finally able to get Reddick and get him on a changeup down in the dirt. Nice play by Leone behind the plate to scoop that and then apply the tag.
Stephen Wright, still warming in the pen, was all of last inning and still out there and available. Brett Laurie 0 for 2 in the game. Laurie grounded out to third base in the second, grounded out to first in the third. Center fielder Rusney Castillo way over into right center. And a fly ball struck well to right. Back goes Brock Holt. He'll have room as Holt brings it in shy of the track for the second out of the 5th inning. Well, today at 6, don't miss Red Sox first pitch presented by Joseph Abood, available at Men's Warehouse. TC Eck and Steve Lyons will have a complete recap at tomorrow's MLB draft. 2 down in the 5th. Arcana 2 for 2 with 2 doubles, sends one down to third. Eats up Sandoval. He'll have no play.
That's probably got to go as a base hit, I would think. Down at third base as that ball bat hopped Sandoval and hit him off the chest. If it is a base hit, it'll be the 3rd of the day for Canna. There you see the hop and see it bounce up and hit him right on the Red Sox across the chest.
They have not ruled on it yet. Josh Fegley, the batter. Walk and a double. Has driven in a run on check here at first base, and Canna back to the bag. It is a base hit for Canna, his 3rd of the day. Fourth 3-hit game of the year for Canna.
Canna getting some attention at first base. 3 steals on the season. Caught 1 time.
Clay Buchholz had retired 5 batters in a row prior to Canna reaching at first base. We're talking about the 7, 8, and 9 men in this order for the Oakland A's and the success they've enjoyed today. They are 5 for 5 as a group, with 3 doubles, 2 singles, and they have walked twice. He has not been able to retire any of them in this game.
If you get that kind of production out of the bottom of the lineup, you're probably going to have some runs on the board, and they do have 4.
3 of the 4 runs today, RBIs for that combination 7, 8, 9. Canna, Fegley, and Sogard. .98 today, up over the average. It's only gotten him 4 2/3 so far in this contest. Through 31 pitches in the 4th inning. Fly ball foul off to the right, out of play. Still 1-2. Fegley continuing to battle here against Clay Buchholz. Getting a piece of Leon. Fegley checking on him, one catcher to another. Two balls, 2 strikes. Buchholz slowing it down here with a runner on and 2 outs.
Like another set of signs from Sandy Leon. Cut fastball inside corner.
And it's driven to left. Hanley Ramirez going back. It'll be over his head and one hop the wall. Canna headed to third. Will get there. Heading to second with a double goes Josh Phegley. And this bottom of the order continues to do damage. And here comes John Farrell. Oakland trying to get something done with 2 outs in this inning. The pitching change from Fenway, the end of the day for Clay Buchholz. Stephen Wright will be coming in. The pitching change from Fenway Park. West.com.
Now, Don, you mentioned the bottom of the order doing some damage today for the Oakland Athletics, and they are responsible for the lead in this game. It's Canna with a double. And this coming back in the second inning to drive in a run. Sogard files with a base hit to drive in a run. And then in the fourth inning, Phegley with a double to drive in a run. So the 7, 8, 9 hitters doing in Clay Buchholz in this game this afternoon. Awkward slide into second base, but effective at bat.
So the day for Clay Buchholz runs up going 4 2/3. He departs still responsible for the runners at second and third. As Stephen Wright comes in, 7th appearance of the season, had made 4 starts, 2-2 with a 4.01 earned run average, 17 strikeouts and 9 walks, and opponent's hitting at 244 against Stephen Wright. So now in the pen for the Red Sox. Each of his last 4 appearances prior to this relief appearance have been as a starter. Last appeared as a reliever back on May 12th, and oddly enough, it was against these Oakland A's at Oakland. He's in the midst of his 3rd stint with the Major League club this year, and deals with Eric Sogard, who has singled to right, walked in, driven in a run. Buchholz giving up 10 hits in 4 2/3 innings. Walked 2, struck out 4, and again responsible for the men on. This one dribbled foul, and it's 1-2 now to Sogard. So after a number of very good starts for Clay Buchholz today, a tough one for Clay.
That started off well in the first inning, a 1-2-3 first, but then 3 runs allowed in the second, and really a struggle from that point on.
Sogard rolls it over and foul. On the ground, foul. Do it again, 1-2. Buchholz did get 2 quick outs to begin this inning before the infield hit by Cannon, then the double by Fegley. Now a fly ball off the bat of Sogard out to right center field, and it'll be caught by the right fielder Brock Holt with Castillo running in front of him. So the A's strand a pair. It's 4-0 Oakland. For Red Sox final presented by Uno's. Adam Pellerin and Jim Rice will preview the Sox quick road trip to Baltimore. Orioles with a 5-1 lead at Cleveland in the 6th inning. They'll be headed home to Camden Yards to host the Red Sox beginning on Tuesday night. Now we begin the bottom of the 5th inning. Rusney Castillo lined out to the third baseman Brett Lawrie sharply in the 2nd inning. Now finds himself in a hole here, 0-2. Kendall Graveman has had some long waits here today, but it's not allowed to run so far as he works here in the 5th inning. 5 strikeouts and is fresh off his first 1-2-3 inning of his outing. It'll be Pedroia, then Holt after Castillo. Swing and a miss. Someone biting down and in, and Graveman picks up his 6th strikeout.
That's the toughest pitch I think that he has. When you watch this game today, that fastball, that two-seam fastball that's sinking down and in against the right hand, there's an awful lot of movement on that pitch, and you can see Castillo really tied up trying to make contact on that pitch.
1 out here in the 5th for Dustin Pedroia. A strikeout victim in the 1st, single to right in the 3rd. On the ground right side, Sogard gathers it and throws out Pedroia. 2 down here in the 5th. See a pair of Red Sox games this summer with the double play packs. Create your own package by selecting from a Yankees game and another summer date. Visit redsox.com/double play to get yours today. 6 in a row retired by Kendall Graveman. There is Brock Holt, who has been on twice today. A walk in the 1st inning, single to center in the 3rd. Outfield deep end straight away on Brock Holt. jumping back out of the way of a pitch down and in. Now Brock has started 11 games at third base, 11 in right field, 5 at shortstop, 4 in left field, 2 in center field, and 1 at second base. Great luxury for John Farrell, the manager of the Red Sox, to have Brock Holt on this roster. And a ground ball right side to Sogard. Graveman has had back-to-back 1-2-3 innings, 7 in a row, retired by the Oakland A's pitcher. 4-0 Athletics. Presented by DCU. TCU will be joined by Orioles broadcaster Gary Thorne. DCU Digital Federal Credit Union. What can DCU save you? Four nothing. The Oakland A's have a lead over the Red Sox as we head to the top of the 6th inning. Billy Burns lifting it to left, and Hanley Ramirez out there will make the catch for the first out of the 6th inning. Let's check in with Tom Caron. TC.
Well, Don, we knew that either Stephen Wright or Joe Kelly would be in the rotation. They've been going with that 6-man rotation the last couple of weeks. Now, with the day off tomorrow, they go back to 5. And after Joe Kelly gave up 2 earned runs in 11 innings over his last 2 starts, he wins the battle. The question is, where would the other guy go? And as you can see right now, Stephen Wright goes to the bullpen. Talking to Wright before the game today, he thinks he could really give the Sox a different kind of arm coming out of the pen and give those hitters a different look. You got Koji, obviously, with the sinker and his fastball that offsets that. You got some harder throwing guys like Tazawa and Agondo, but Stephen Wright thinks there's a place out there for the knuckleball. And the bottom line, as he said, guys, I want to be on a plane, not on a bus, so I'm happy to be in the bullpen in the big leagues.
Yeah, you can't really look at it as a demotion. You know, certainly a demotion would be Pawtucket, and this is a much better scenario for Wright. And here he is into the game, the first day that he found out that he was going to be in the pen for the Red Sox.
Now, we talked a little bit about it after the game yesterday, Don, and the fact that, you know, the way Joe Kelly has pitched, especially over his last couple of starts, that there was little doubt that he was going to leave the rotation. You just didn't know, you know, who was going to be sent to either the bullpen or the minor leagues. And they elected, of course, to put Stephen Wright into the bullpen, and with that knuckleball can pitch a lot of innings out of there, obviously, try to keep the Red Sox in a game like today.
And you really couldn't continue on the 6-man rotation, especially with the off day tomorrow. Now you're talking about 7 days there in between. That just gets to be too long. So Red Sox went with that 6-man rotation 2 times through, and now down to the normal 5, with Joe Kelly getting the start here on Friday against the Toronto Blue Jays. 3-2 pitch. And that is ball 4. Marcus Semien with a 1-out walk.
Now, Semien may try to run. You know, we mentioned this obviously anytime there's a knuckleball pitcher on the mound, but he does have good speed. 7 steals on the season. Caught 1 time. He probably has the green light if he feels he can get a good jump. He may try it.
Stephen Vogt 0 for 3 in the game. He has grounded out, lined out, and struck out looking. Almost got hit there in a pitch darting in. Two and 0 now to Vogt after he walked Semien with 1 out here in the 6th inning. And the strike, 2-1. On a line on Buchholz today, 4 2/3, 10 hits, 4 runs. They were all earned. He walked 2 and struck out 4 on the hook. As there's a pop up. Xander Bogaerts makes the catch for the 2nd out. For every Red Sox game that goes into extra innings or the Sox get a save, CVS Pharmacy will make a donation to Children's Hospital towards a $25,000 commitment once again this season. CVS Pharmacy is the official pharmacy of the Boston Red Sox. There is Billy Butler with 2 outs and a runner at first base. Throw to first, and scrambling to get back to the bag was Semien. Runner goes. Semien is off, and the throw by Leon picked by Pedroia, and a tag applied. Nice play on both ends, really, as they catch Semien stealing to end the top of the 6th. 4-0 Oakland. Up the Northeast run at optimum efficiency. Did you know FWWeb did that? Learn more about this proud Boston Red Sox sponsor at FWWeb.com.
Leon has been very, very good about throwing out base runners at second base so far this season, and this time it's from his knees. That is very hard to do and get enough on it. You can see Pedroia at second base picking it out of the dirt and applying the tag. Two nice plays. Leone from the knees and Pedroia making the pick at second to get Semien.
Now Graveman back on the mound here for the Oakland A's, leading it off. Hanley Ramirez 1 for 2. Hanley doubling in the first, grounded into a 5-3 double play in the third. Followed by Ortiz and Napoli in the inning. There is a strike from Graveman. Center fielder Billy Burns over towards right center. Gap out there in left center field for Hanley. Popped up left side. Marcus Semien, the shortstop, in short left. Right at the line and in foul ground. Makes the catch for the first out of the 6th inning.
Now Graveman's been very good in this game against the Red Sox. A lot of movement on his pitches. You see that sinker going back down and in. Then he'll go back to a cut fastball away against Napoli. There's a breaking ball on the outside part of the plate, and then back to that sinking fastball in to Rusney Castillo. So a lot of movement on the pitches from Graveman. Not much straight from him this afternoon.
Graveman's pitching line brought to you by your Eastern Lexus dealers. David Ortiz batting with 1 out here in the 6th inning. First shift of the day employed here by the Oakland A's on David Ortiz. Well, David right into it, as it turns out. 2 down in the inning. Semien, the shortstop, on the right side of the infield, throws out Big Papi. 2 down. Have a son or daughter who wants to learn more about baseball or their favorite Red Sox players? Visit NessonClubhouse.com. Has videos, games, and a whole lot more. It's fun, free, and easy to use. Visit NessonClubhouse.com today. 2 outs here in the 6th inning. Now 9 in a row retired by Graveman. And it brings up Mike Napoli.
Pointing to his head almost like he forgot what the sign was and what pitch he was going to throw.
Red Sox with a total of 5 hits in the game, but have not had a hit since the 3rd inning. Napoli is grounded out to 3rd and struck out swinging. The inning continues. Pablo Sandoval will be next. There's a strike, and Napoli not buying that again. This has been a recurring theme on Napoli here, that outside corner. Sure, I got to agree with them. For most of these, have been outside.
Yeah, according to our strike zone, they have been.
Fly ball to right field. In comes Reddick. And he'll make the catch. It ends the inning. Red Sox down in order 10 in a row. Retired by Graveman. 4-0 Oakland. Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. 4-0 Oakland on top of Boston, top half of the 7th inning, and Billy Butler lead it off for the Athletics.
That last knuckleball, I remember last time that Wright pitched, I was asking about, if that's something that he tries to do, and it just so happened that night with TC, Tim Wakefield was doing the post-game show, and I was wondering if they had discussed what I was talking about the fact that, sometimes he makes it look like a curveball. Maybe we can bring TC in and see what Tim had to say about that.
Yeah, Jerry, what Wake said is basically the travel of the knuckleball, the trail of it is going to follow your hand. Really like in a pitch, right? When you're second base, if you kind of throw it sidearm, it's going to tail away. Well, the same with the knuckleball. So if your hand's up above it, it's going to tumble down. You can kind of rotate your hand a little bit to get the sideward motion on. He said basically it's the natural break of the knuckleball. You don't really throw a curveball knuckleball, if you will, but where you are gripping that ball will dictate which way it tumbles away. So there's a little bit of room that you can move it there, but essentially Wake was mostly on top. Right is usually on top, which is when it'll sort of fall off the table. If you rotate that a little bit, just like a traditional throw, it's going to curve one way or the other.
Very good. There's another one that kind of breaks in, and here's what we're talking about. It's a knuckleball that right at the end almost acts like a curveball, and that's because, as TC was talking about, the grip is just, his hand is tilted a little bit to the right, and it's making it go in that direction.
And it does move like a curveball would.
There's the grip right there. You can see it off to the side a little bit, and you see the late movement on that going back down and in to the left-handed hitter. I don't recall that any of the guys that I faced where the ball did that, actually, it moved that much.
This is lined into right field. Josh Reddick collects his 3rd hit of the day.
And that's why I was curious to the point whether that's something he is trying to do. So apparently the answer I got from TC and Tim Wakefield is yes. It's the tilt of the wrist, and it makes it move one way or the other. Good stuff.
1 out, 1 on, and Brett Lawrie coming up. 0 for 3 today. A ground out to third, a ground out to first, and a fly out to right. Popped up foul off to the right, out of play. Well, 2 hitters in the Oakland order with 3 hits today. Josh Reddick, who just got his 3rd hit, and Mark Canha, who waits on deck, has 3 hits today. It's now 11 in the contest for the Athletics. Pitch 30 for Stephen Wright since coming in, and that will miss. 1-1. Buchholz, the starter today for the Red Sox, goes 4 2/3. He is responsible for all 4 Oakland Athletics runs and allowed 10 hits.
Well, we understand we just got a text message from Tim Wakefield about the knuckleball. TC has more information on that. We can talk to him after this pitch.
Yeah, Jerry, what Tim was just saying is, again, everything we were just talking about with the grip, but he said really you're controlling the top half of the ball. And that's really sort of the biggest difference with the knuckleballer, right? It's all where that top half of the ball is going, and your grip is dictating how it's going to tumble. But unlike a normal pitcher where you're sort of gripping the entire thing, that all the pressure points are on the top half of the ball.
You think about it, Don, we take it for granted because we don't see a lot of it. That's a difficult pitch to throw.
It really is.
And, it's no wonder to me that more guys don't throw it. I mean, it's so hard to control. I tell you, he had a good knuckleball, Wade Boggs.
He did.
Yeah, he did. We used to play catch together, and he would throw that thing and hit me in the knee, hit me in the ankle. I mean, he had a very good knuckleball.
So if not a Hall of Fame player, he could have been maybe a good knuckleball pitcher.
That I can't say.
Swinging a miss, and running on the play was Reddick. Almost had to strike him out, throw him out, double play. As it looked like the throw was there, but unable to get Reddick, and Reddick steals second base with now 2 down in the inning.
Again from the knees, Leon making that throw to second base. And you know with a knuckleballer on the mound that you have to rush because of the speed of the pitch, because of the way you have to catch it. They're going to take chances, and the Athletics are doing that. Leon trying his best again from his knees to make that throw, but that time not in time. And Reddick picks up the steal. So Reddick's had a nice day.
In scoring position for another guy who's had a good day, Mark Canha with 3 hits and an RBI. Strike call as Canha was getting the arms out of the way, and Bob Davidson said it picked up the inside corner. To right field. Brock Holt out there waiting. Puts it away to end the inning. It's 7th inning stretch as the Oakland A's have a 4-0 lead from Fenway Park. And the Red Sox will be coming up in the bottom of the 7th inning with Sandoval, Bogaerts, and Leon. We will keep it right here at Fenway Park for God Bless America on this Sunday afternoon at Fenway.
You aid in these life-changing efforts by supporting the 50-50 raffle presented by DraftKings. Today's winning numbers are now posted on the center field video board. And now, before Josh Cantor leads us in the singing of Take Me Out to the Ball Game on the Fenway organ, we ask you to please rise. Here to perform God Bless America, please welcome back one of our 250 Red Sox scholars, Junyoung Ni.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
For the Oakland Athletics today, 6 innings so far, allowing no runs. Reddick and Canha both with 3-hit days, leading the way offensively for the Athletics. Clay Buchholz on the hook right now for the Red Sox. Came in at 3-6 into this outing, and Buchholz 4 2/3, giving up 4 earned runs. Hanley Ramirez has a double today, and they play on to the bottom of the 7th. Pablo Sandoval leading it off and taking strike 1. It's now 10 in a row, retired by Kendall Graveman, who is back out there again for the 7th inning. His 86th pitch, a little bit low, and it evens at 1-1. On the ground, right side, Sogard to the backhand. Sandoval out number 1 of the inning. It's time for a game break brought to you by Jordan's Furniture, the furniture store of the Boston Red Sox. Adam? Wow, some fireworks there for Sabathia and the Yankees as they win again. And it's now 6 wins in a row for New York, and making it tough for the Red Sox, who had won back-to-back games here, to gain any ground in the division. Starting the day 5.5 back of the Yankees, and trailing here today 4-0 as Xander Bogaerts grounds it foul.
It's kind of strange to see a pitcher that upset when you're winning the ball game.
Yep.
But there has been some struggles for Sabathia, and maybe some of that frustration coming out in his outing today.
On the ground towards short, Semien. 2 down in the 7th inning. H.B. Hood knows that nothing is crueler than a child being struck by cancer, and that we desperately need to fund research. We thank Hood for their contributions to the Red Sox Foundation, a benefactor of the Jimmy Fund. We thank Hood for helping us fund research that we can conquer cancer. 2 down in the 7th. It's now 12 in a row retired by Graveman, and it brings up Sandy Leon. Shifting on Leon here are the Oakland A's. Leon a double in the 2nd inning. Struck out swinging in the 4th. And quickly trails in the count here, 0-2.
I'm going to tell you something, man. When Nick Graveman throws the two-seam fastball, whether it's into right-handers or away from left-handers, it has got a lot of movement on it. That ball moved a ton.
Because it's a lane changer. That's in the dirt, a ball and 2 strikes. Look out. Somehow eluding Leon. Take a little time, take a little walk.
Now that's a 2-strike pitch. It'll get your attention, won't it? After going away from him, coming back inside and right under the armpit from Sandy Leon. Take a while to gather your thoughts after a pitch like that.
Now ground ball to first base. Stephen Vogt has got it himself. He'll take it to the bag, and that is that in the 7th inning. 4-0. A's on top. Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now on southwest.com. Your local Subaru dealers. And by Digital Federal Credit Union. See what DCU can save you. It's been a beautiful day at Fenway Park, but unfortunately the Red Sox on the wrong end of a 4-0 score. Oakland out hitting Boston 11-5. Stephen Wright out there for his third inning of relief. Check that. This will be, well, it's 2 1/3 so far as he came in with 2 outs in the 5th inning, and he'll be dealing with 8, 9, and 1 for the Oakland A's in the 8th. Josh Phegley has been on 3 times in this game. A walk in the 2nd, a double in the 4th, and a double in the 5th, and he has driven in a run. Fly ball, center field, sending Rusney Castillo back to the warning track to make the catch. Up by that 379 marker. Well, be sure to download the Red Sox schedule into your favorite desktop, web, or mobile calendar program before it's too late. Visit NESN.com/schedule now. One out in the 8th, and it brings up Eric Sogard. He singled to right in the 2nd, walked in the 4th before flying out to right in the 5th. Matt Barnes warming in the Red Sox pen. Buchholz went 4 2/3. Wright has been in ever since, and really is a luxury to have a guy like Stephen Wright who can come into a game in this type situation and log some innings so the bullpen does not get taxed.
Yeah, the other thing too is the Red Sox is, as we mentioned, have that off day tomorrow, so plenty of rest for a lot of guys.
Fly ball to center. Rusney Castillo has handled the first 2 outs of the 8th inning.
That Rusney back in center field where he played in Cuba. That's what he was, a center fielder before coming to the States, and for the Red Sox basically a right fielder, and has done a nice job out there with the exception of 1 drop this year, but I'm sure his comfort level is out in center.
2 down in the 8th, 4 in a row. Retired by Stephen Wright. Here is Billy Burns. Burns has grounded out to 3rd, struck out swinging, singled in the infield, and flied out to left. Foul back, 1-2. Make NESN.com a part of your daily routine. The region's #1 sports site has everything you need from comprehensive Red Sox coverage and the most Bruins content in New England. A video and podcast found only on NESN.com. The 1-2 pitch. And that's in there for strike 3. Second strikeout for Stephen Wright. Head to the bottom of the 8th, 4-0 Oakland. And it has been Graveman's outing here, Jerry. It's been very good and has kept the Red Sox stymied all day.
Well, what I said earlier has impressed me is the fact that he's thrown nothing straight. I mean, everything is moving all over the place. That sinker that's going down and in, that breaking ball away, a cut fastball, and very few straight fastballs in this game for Red Sox hitters to operate on. So he has been excellent here this afternoon.
Well, he works his way in here to the bottom of the 8th inning. Rusney Castillo leading it off here in the bottom of the 8th inning. New shortstop in the game here for the Oakland A's. That is Andy Perino, who is at shortstop for Simeon. As Rusney Castillo, Wolfie Hack 1-2. Inside 2-2. "13 in a row retired by Kendall Graveman." Wow, that was a good pitch.
Yeah, certainly was. And Rusney Castillo fortunate to be still standing at home plate, right at the bottom of the strike zone.
Pitch 101. And a fly ball struck well to deep left field. Back goes Canna. And that's into the monster seats and gone. Rusney Castillo with a home run. Could have been out on strike 3. Gets another chance and homers.
Rusney picking up his first home run of the season. It's a cut fastball that doesn't cut. It just spins up the home plate, stays on the inside part of the plate, and Castillo puts it in the monster seats for the home run.
Alltown, New England's premier convenience retailer, is committed to supporting the communities they serve. For every home run the Red Sox hit the rest of the season, Alltown will donate $500 to the Cystic Fibrosis Multiple Sclerosis Fund. Visit alltown.com for a location near you.
This game is very interesting. He should have been struck out on the pitch before, and then he hits a home run, and out comes Bob Melvin.
So Graveman had retired 13 Red Sox in a row until the home run by Castillo. And now the pitching change as Graveman departs. Let's send it down to Tom Caron.
All right, Don, thanks very much. Time to check out the road ahead, brought to you by People's United Bank. A big week coming up here for the Red Sox, guys, as they get back into AL East play. The 3 games down at Camden Yards beginning Tuesday night after the first scheduled day off in 3 weeks. Then home here for a little 5-game series that starts with 3 against Toronto. Then you get back out of the division with Atlanta, home and home, Kansas City. Then you finish up back in the AL East. But we've talked so much, guys, about how tight this American League East race is. These are the games that are going to be real important to the Red Sox or anybody in the division, because you're trying to make up ground, and these are the teams you're battling for positions in the American League East. Meantime, another decision looming for the Red Sox on the pitching front. We talked about Joe Kelly staying in the rotation, Stephen Wright pitching in relief as we're seeing him here today. Justin Masterson is eligible to come off the DL, but he won't just yet. He'll make another start for AAA Pawtucket this Wednesday at McCoy Stadium when he goes up against Charlotte. He pitched Friday night for the Portland Sea Dogs, gave up 8 hits and 2 earned runs in 4 2/3 innings. So for now, they want him to continue that rehab, get fully healthy and stronger before a decision is made. But that'll be another decision, guys, as to where Masterson comes back to this team. Is it in the starting rotation, back in the bullpen, and who will have to go?
It'll be interesting to see what takes place as Masterson here with the Red Sox today and working his way back. Another rehab coming up.
That's interesting. We talk about that a lot, you know, how Guys are on rehab assignments, and they're going to be coming back in a week or 2 weeks or whatever it is, and where they're going to fit. But a lot can happen in that period of time. A lot of adjustments can be made on a club. You just don't know. But right now, continuing his rehab assignment, as TC mentioned. And I talked to him the other day after his last one. He said he felt pretty good. He said after the first couple of innings, felt much better. But he kind of had a sense there was going to be another one that was going to be mixed in.
Well, Masterson will have another one coming up, and we'll see what happens after that. Now, our aerial coverage today is provided by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. A leadoff home run by Rusney Castillo has this crowd back into it. Red Sox trailing 4-1, and the top of the order, Dustin Pedroia, the first batter that Evan Scribner will face. Pedroia 1 for 3 today with a single in the third, and Red Sox will be glad to see someone other than Kendall Graveman, who today kept them at bay. 7+, 6 hits, 1 run, 2 walks, and 6 strikeouts, and in one stretch had retired 13 batters in a row.
That's exactly the sense you get in the dugout too. You know, thank goodness he's out of here, because he was a problem all day for us.
Now a fair ball off the glove of Laurie. He'll run it down, but Pedroia's got his second hit of the day. Right down the line at third.
El Pedroia extended his hitting streak to 7 games back in the third inning. Now he adds a second hit today. That breaking ball right over the bag, deflecting off the glove of Laurie.
Now Brock Holt coming up. He has been on twice, a walk in the first, single to center in the third before grounding out to second base in the fifth. Tyler Clippard and Drew Pomerantz up in the pen. Go to first, and back to the bag is Pedroia. Foul off to the left, and it's 0-2. First time that Brock Holt has faced Evan Scribner in his career, with Hanley Ramirez waiting on deck. Look out. That's the feet out of the way and straightens him up. Pitch down and in. Line in to right center field. Pedroia is headed to second. He'll stop there on the single by Holt. And that's 3 straight hits for the Red Sox. And runners at first and second with nobody out here in the 8th.
Yeah, it's what you love to see too. You start a little bit of a comeback, you get back-to-back base hits, you look down in the bullpen, guys are warming up. It gives you a little bit of energy. That's the breaking ball right there. Second time the breaking ball's been hit for a base hit. Pedroia with 1, and now Holt right back up the middle.
Kurt Young, the pitching coach, headed out there as you start to get into the middle of the Red Sox order, with Hanley Ramirez coming up next, and then David Ortiz. So Young out there and looking on as Graveman had pitched so well.
Sometimes you got to tip your cap to a pitcher, and I think that's the case today with Graveman, because I don't think there's anybody in that Red Sox dugout that's sorry to see him out of this ball game right now. It kind of just changes the complexion of the game. They've got something going. They got a chance to do a little bit of damage. He was nasty on him all afternoon.
Hanley Ramirez 1 for 3 today, doubled back in the first inning. Tying run at the plate for Boston. in the dirt and gathered by Fegley. Tommy Lane and Matt Barnes warming in the Red Sox pen. Buchholz went 4 2/3, right 3 1/3. Scribner shaking off a bunch of signs. Ramirez 5 for 11 in the series, double home run and 3 RBIs against the Oakland A's. I'd like to do some damage right here in the last of the 8th inning. On the ground, left side, and off the glove of Perino. Pedroia is coming around to score. The Red Sox now back within 2. It is 4-2 Oakland. Hanley Ramirez with his second hit of the day.
That's what I was talking about, Don. A little life. Ramirez also on a breaking ball off the glove of Perino, who was going in there for his defense. And that's going to be it for the right-hander.
20th multi-hit game of the year for Hanley Ramirez. The day for Evan Scribner. Faces 3 batters, doesn't get anybody out, and is responsible for the runners at first and third. The pitching change from Fenway. Of the 8th inning, Red Sox have the tying runs on base, and a new pitcher now for the A's as Evan Scribner leaves without retiring a member of the Red Sox. Drew Pomeranz checks in for his 11th game of the year, 2-3 with a 4.17 earned run average, 34 strikeouts to 19 walks, and opponents hitting at 232 against Pomeranz. So the inning started with Rusney Castillo homering. Dustin Pedroia with the hit down the third baseline. Brock Holt with a single to center. And Ramirez with a base hit that scores a run and brings the Red Sox back within 2. So it's Holt at third, Ramirez at first, and David Ortiz, who has struck out, walked in, grounded out to shortstop. David 0 for 6 against Pomeranz in his career. It's a fly ball to left field. Canna will make the catch as tagging at third is Brock Holt, and this is a 1-run game. It's now 4-3 Oakland on top. Sac fly for David Ortiz.
Canna does the right thing too. There's no way he's going to throw the runaround at home plate and Brock Holt, so he gets the ball in at second base to keep that potential tying run out of scoring position. And we're going to have, it looks like, another pitching change.
So we'll see a fourth pitcher in this inning. We step aside with the pitching change from Fenway. Oakland on top 4-3.
Back in this game very, very quickly. Rusney Castillo, after it looked like he struck out, hits a home run of Graveman to lead off the inning, followed by a base hit by Pedroia on a breaking ball down the third base line. A breaking ball to Brock Holt, lined up the middle for the base hit. Ramirez with a single. That's going to drive in a run. It deflects off the glove, caroms away, and then David Ortiz with the sacrifice fly, and the Red Sox are back in the ball game 4-3.
So Pomerantz comes out of the game facing one batter. Got David Ortiz with a sacrifice fly. Makes it a one-run game. Tyler Clippard, his 24th appearance, 0-2. He's 9 out of 10 in save opportunities. Bringing him in here looking for 5 outs possibly. 20 strikeouts, 13 walks. Opponents hitting at just 182 against Clippard. And Clippard 6 for his last 6 in save opportunities in the past 8 games. Mike Napoli bats with Ramirez at first, and they'll check on Hanley.
This is a high-stress save situation here.
Yes, I would say so. You don't see many 5-out saves anymore.
Once again, the Oakland pitcher pointing to his head. You know, that's twice you see it into this game. And basically what it is, he's read the sign, but then he forgot what it was.
Tying run at first base as Napoli bats here with Hanley Ramirez at first. In the dirt as Fegley to his right. Clippers not allowed to run in 10 1/3 innings on the road this season. And Harret's a base runner at first base. Foul back. Napoli with a pretty healthy hack right there.
Oh, would he like to have that one back again? changeup that time that stayed right in the middle of the plate, and you can see Napoli's reaction to missing that pitch.
Fouls it back. That one up a little bit higher, and he chased 1-2. Sandoval waiting on deck. Red Sox making noise in the bottom of the 8th inning. Throw to first and almost threw that away. Leaning into the runner was Vogt, and reaching around there to grab that. One ball, 2 strikes to Mike Napoli with 1 out here in the 8th. Flying sharply into the seats. Napoli trying to hold up. He did, according to David Rackley, first base umpire.
Yeah, Bailey holding up here too. Good call by the first base umpire, Rackley. Sometimes it's tough for those big strong guys like Napoli to hold up their swing.
Napoli strikes out. They climb the ladder on him and go way up top to get him there for the 2nd out of the 8th.
Yeah, it was not by design. They wanted the fastball away from Napoli. Instead, it goes up high and he chases it for a big strikeout.
So 2 down in the 8th. Frustrating at bat for Napoli, and here is Pablo Sandoval.
Now, there's a possibility that Ramirez could try to run with 2 outs in an inning. It's not likely, but it's possible.
Sandoval is single back in the 2nd, a 1-for-3 day. And a fly ball to left. Canna going back. It's going to be over his head off the bottom of the wall. Hanley Ramirez is headed for 3rd. He will get there sliding. And the tying run now 90 feet away.
Well, Canna got a very favorable bounce off that wall. The scoreboard part of the wall, it's going to be a line shot that's going to hit at the bottom of the wall and bounces right back to him. If that goes in either direction, Hanley Ramirez probably scores, but it comes right back to the left fielder.
2nd hit of the day for Sandoval. Going to have a pinch runner for Sandoval. Mookie Betts is going to pinch run. He represents the go-ahead run here in the 8th. 1st and 3rd with 2 down, and Xander Bogaerts coming up. Xander has struck out swinging, flied out to left, and grounded out to shortstop. The 8th member of the Red Sox to bat here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Bogaerts fouls it off to the right, out of play. The 0-1 to Bogaerts. Fouled off to the right again, and he's down 0-2.
May not be a bad idea to send Betts at first base, because I'm not even sure they're going to throw through in this situation. And I think he can get a very good jump of Clippard. The only problem 0-2, you could call a pitch out.
That's with that good sized lead at first base as Bogaerts waits on an 0-2 pitch. Xander almost diving into that, and a pitch up and in. The 1-2 pitch will have to wait a check on Betts, who's going to dive back to the bag. Hanley Ramirez at third base. Mookie Betts at first base, pinch running. There goes Betts on a 1-2 that bounces in, and no chance. Stealing second base with ease is Mookie Betts, and now the potential go-ahead run in scoring position.
But how about this play by Fegley, the catcher? I mean, he blocks that ball and keeps Hanley Ramirez at third base. A terrific play there by the Oakland catcher. Could be a game saver.
Two balls, two strikes here to Xander Bogaerts. Bogaerts fights it off foul.
See, one of the reasons I wanted Betts to run, and he did run, is you eliminate that forced play at second base. At this stage of the game, being one run, they're not going to throw through. There's no way they're going to do that with Betts at second base. So you just send him. That eliminates a forced play at second base on a ground ball to the infield, puts much more pressure on the infielders to have to throw the man out at first base. Plus, it's the go-ahead run.
Bogaerts to left field. Canna going back. At the wall. It's off the wall. Scoring is Ramirez. Scoring is Betts. And giving the Red Sox a 5-4 lead. Off the wall is Xander Bogaerts.
Oh, yeah, baby. Xander Bogaerts gets a fastball down and in and gouts it off that left field wall. Ball bouncing around for a while. 2 runs come in. Red Sox take the lead. Don, we talked about it at the beginning of the inning. When you get that starting pitcher out of there, when he's been shutting you down all day, it gives you new life.
Yeah, the decision to bring him out after he gave up the home run to Rusney Castillo. It snapped a 13 in a row stretch for Kendall Craveman, and he leaves this game, and then all of a sudden Oakland now on their 4th pitcher of the inning. The blown save for Clippard. The lead now for the Red Sox on top, 5-4. And a pinch hitter here for the Red Sox. De Aza pinch hitting for Sandy Leon. Leon had been 1 for 3. Now looking to obtain some insurance as De Aza takes a pitch up high.
I'm a little bit surprised they're not walking De Aza here with first base open, and then Castillo, the right-hander, on deck. I know he's hit a home run this inning, but just playing the percentages.
Swing and a miss. A ball and a strike.
Think about how this inning started, too. Remember, Castillo should have been out.
Right. Should have been strike 3.
Instead, it turns into a home run.
Followed by 3 straight hits. Pedroia, Holt, and Ramirez. As now it is Lane and Tazawa up in the pen for the Red Sox. A check swing foul off to the left. It looks like Uehara unavailable.
He has been busy lately.
Bogart's at second base. 1-2 to De Aza. Line to right for De Aza. It's in for a hit. Reddick's got a very good arm. Bogart's coming plateward. He will be safe. Red Sox take a 6-4 lead.
That's I tell you, I can't believe they pitched to De Aza. They got first base open. They got the right-hander coming up. It just didn't make any sense. Picks this one off the ground. Line shot. Here's the throw by Reddick. It's got to be a pretty good one, but by him is Bogarts.
A 6-run bottom of the 8th inning, and it's not over yet. Kurt Young out there to talk to Clippard. Red Sox have batted around in this inning. Rusney Castillo got it started with a home run, and he will be next. The home run for Castillo to begin this inning. Now he faces Clippard. There is strike 1. The first run charged to Graveman in this inning, 3 to Scribner, and 2 so far for Clippard. Castillo lines it into left field for a base hit. De Aza is going to try and score. Throw to the plate is going to be late. Red Sox take a 7-4 lead. Second hit of the inning for Rusney Castillo.
Rusney started it and he continues it. Cut fastball that time, pulling the ball. Butterfield, no hesitation, waving home. De Aza.
Now Bob Melvin coming out here to get his closer. He was looking for 5 outs from him here today. Ended up getting 1 out in this outing and departing. What a turn of events at Fenway Park, as the Red Sox have scored 7 times so far in the 8th. With 2 outs in the inning, we're about to see the 5th pitcher of this inning for the Athletics. And what has been a remarkable turn of events here. After a dazzling performance by Kendall Graveman all day, the Red Sox here in the 8th inning get to the combination of 4 pitchers. Now, Pat Venditti, who we saw here on Friday, guy who can throw left-handed and right-handed, as we saw on Friday. No decision, went 2 innings against the Red Sox, giving up only 1 hit in his debut. Comes in to face Dustin Pedroia with Rusney Castillo at second base, and there is strike 1. Called up from AAA Nashville on Friday. Made his major league debut, became the first switch-handed pitcher to appear in a major league game since Greg Harris in 1995.
And interesting too, Don, very similar stuff, both right-handed and left-handed. Throws about the same arm slot, sweeping breaking ball, fastball.
Pedroia down 1-2. Clipper to win a third, giving it 4 hits so far, charged with 3 runs. 1-2 pitch, grounded back to the mound. Venditti will go to first for the out that ends one of the more remarkable innings of 2015 for the Red Sox. They scored 7 times.
Now, here's how it started. Castillo looked like he was struck out of this pitch on a low fastball that looked like it hit the bottom of the strike zone. Next pitch, changeup, gone. And that's how the Red Sox picked up their first run. Then they kept the line moving.
Now the Red Sox, as they score 7 times in the inning, bring on a new pitcher in this ball game as Tommy Lane checks in for Boston. Changes for the Red Sox. First defensively, Rusney Castillo taking over in right field, as Mookie Betts now into center field where Castillo was. Alejandro De Aza now in left field. And it looks like Brock Holt is now at third base. It is Holt at third. And Blake Swihart now doing the catching after they pinch hit for Leon. First pitch from Lane is going to miss for ball 1. There is Swihart now taking over in behind the dish here for the Red Sox. Pinch hitting here is Ben Zobrist to begin the inning. And Zobrist with a count of 1-1 facing the new pitcher, Tommy Lane. 21st appearance, 0-1 with a 2.65 earned run average. As Zobrist takes the pitch outside. So the pitcher of record right now for the Red Sox is Stephen Wright, who did a very good job here for the Red Sox. As Wright ends up going 3 1/3 innings and not allowing a run. 2-2. Wright in his 3 1/3 only gave up 1 hit. And struck out 2, walked a batter. 2-2 pitch. Zobrist is out number 1 of the 9th inning.
A high slider that Lane gets away with right here. You can see it spinning up in the zone, but no contact by Zobrist.
One down in the inning for Stephen Vogt, who is 0 for 4 in the game. Vogt has grounded out to first, lined out to right, struck out looking, and popped out to the shortstop. Now the Red Sox have not come back from a deficit of more than 3 runs to win this season, and trying to do that today, as noted by Alex Spear. This one fouled off at the plate. Really could mount nothing offensively until the bottom of the 8th inning. Had some early chances and then nothing. In fact, 13 in a row at one point had been retired by Graveman. The starter for the A's today. Strike 2. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Back-to-back strikeouts for Tommy Lane. 2 down in the 9th. Let's take a look at the Toyota play of the game, and Xander Bogaerts with a double off the wall in left field. It's the tying run in and the go-ahead run to score as part of the 7-run 8th inning. Huge double for Xander Bogaerts. 2 outs in the 9th. And there is strike 1 to Billy Butler. If the Red Sox can hold on, this is the type of win that the Red Sox really could gather some momentum from. They have not had a come from behind victory like this all year. 0-2 the count. Fans to their feet at Fenway. Close pitch, called a ball. The 1-2 pitch from Tommy Lane. In the air to center field. Mookie Betts going back onto the dirt of the track to make the catch. The Red Sox with a fantastic win from Fenway today. 7 runs in the bottom of the 8th inning, and the Red Sox sweep the Oakland A's. It is the first sweep of a series of the season for the Red Sox, and it comes in dramatic fashion today in the finale of the homestand. So many heroes today as part of this Red Sox come from behind victory as Boston gathers the win, and Tommy Lane able to pick up the save here today as the Red Sox head out on the road after a great win from Fenway, and we send it to Adam Pellerin.